And a good afternoon to you, Ted Langell, Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, and we are joined by our good colleague Shane Griego here.
We are just coming to you from a gorgeous afternoon here in historic downtown Marysville, and the crowd out here is pretty excited right now as we are about to welcome Big Boy. That's right. This steam locomotive is going to be rolling in here at 3:30 this afternoon, about 30 minutes from now. So if you are watching us and you're near, if you're in the Yuba-Sutter, Yuba City, Marysville area, come on down and check this out. It's definitely a historic event. The train will be rolling in. It'll be here for about 15 minutes, and then it'll roll on out to Lincoln directly after that. On the train, that's 20 minutes out, 3:30 to Harding T.
So now you don't have to wonder when it's going to be here. It'll be here in 20 minutes. That's it.
Of course, that was our.
Yeah, you're on, but you're not. There you go.
All right, of course, that was our mayor of Marysville. He just announced that the train will be here in about 20 minutes, so it is definitely on time.
And there is a good-sized crowd that has arrived here at the 7th and E Streets, 7th and I forget what the name of the alley is here. It's right by Stassie's 4th Ward in Marysville. We're looking west on 7th Street towards B Street right now, and we are waiting for the 414 or 4014 to come in. And we expect it in about 20 minutes from now. It's coming down from Oroville. There are some dignitaries that are aboard the train, and we are here, Shane Griego and myself, and we have a little bit of content. Maintaining these trains is not easy. The Big Boy is a 1944 vintage steam locomotive that was converted from coal to oil in the 1960s, if I remember correctly.
Well, actually, did you know that the Union Pacific Big Boy locomotives, they are actually built between 1941 and in 1944, they are the world's largest steam locomotives, measuring 133 feet long and weighing 1.2 million pounds. They are designed for heavy freight over mountainous terrains. These 4884 articulated engines could travel up to 80 miles an hour, and only 8 of the 25 built survive today. And this is the one that was, like you just mentioned, has been recommissioned. That is number 4014. Hey, Ted, do you know what 4884 stands for?
No, I don't.
So basically, the 484 is the 4 main wheels in the front. Then it's got 2 sets of 8 transitioning wheels, followed by 4 trailing wheels. So it is a mighty locomotive. It's definitely bigger than what you see coming down the tracks today. So we are so excited to see this. Like I said, 133 feet long. That's just the engine, the train itself. That doesn't even count anything that it might be pulling along behind it.
Okay, well, Shane, we're going to take you on a little promotional here, and then we'll be back in a minute to give you some history behind how they work on these machinery, these big pieces of machinery, 60, 70, 80 years after they were made.
This week on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, Thursday, April 9, 2026, 3 p.m. the Union Pacific Big Boy Steam Locomotive stops in Marysville. Friday, April 10, 2026, 3:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The astronauts prepare to splash down in the Pacific. We'll be popping up live to show you what happens. Like, follow, and subscribe so you'll know when we're live. Watch on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, Facebook.com/live streaming YS, YouTube.com/at symbol Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, Yuba-Sutter.LIVE.
We are back here at the corner of Southern Pacific, the former Southern Pacific Railroad tracks. Let's get you back over here. Hit the right set of buttons and life happens nicely. Shane Griego, Ted Langdell. We are here waiting for the train at the former Southern Pacific main line that goes from Seattle and Portland, Oregon, into California and down through Redding, Red Bluff, Chico. That's the main line. The train this morning has come down from Portola, where it overnighted at the Portola Rail Museum, where the Western Pacific Rail Museum is located on the former Western Pacific tracks, where there's a shop up there. If you're looking for a good day or an alternate excursion to go somewhere, that rail museum is a great place to go, and you can rent time to learn how to drive a locomotive around the loop in the shop.
Absolutely, and Portela, oh my gosh, that is just a beautiful little town as well. So you are absolutely right. I would definitely recommend, making a day trip out of it and heading out there and checking out the museum. Speaking of museums, did you know that the train that we are about to see that was decommissioned in 1941 after traveling over 1 million miles across this great country, and then in 2013 they actually restored it, brought it back to life, and have put it on the circuit that it's been doing over this last many years. What we're going to be seeing coming down the track is number 4014.
And this is the train in Union Pacific promotional video that we were able to download. You saw that in our promo here. This is 4014.
Now, I mentioned earlier that there are 8 trains that are, basically on display. The 7 are in museums, and if you're ever traveling through St. Louis, Missouri, Dallas, Texas, Omaha, Nebraska, Denver, Colorado, Scranton, Pennsylvania, Green Bay, Wisconsin, or Cheyenne, Wyoming, that would give you an amazing opportunity to go check out and see these trains close up. Now, the train's going to stop for about 15 minutes here. We are going to get a presentation from our mayor, and then after that, it is going to head to Lincoln. It'll be making a stop there, and then it'll actually be rolling into Roseville. And here's the neat thing. It is going to be stopped in Roseville for the majority of the day tomorrow. In fact, from 9 to 3 over off of Vermont Street, they're going to have food trucks out there. They're going to have live entertainment. There'll be vendors out there. But most importantly, though, you'll get an opportunity to see the 4014 up close and personal. Now, what I am looking forward to when this train pulls in is this entire area covered in steam. It is neat. I've watched some of the other live videos as it's been traveling across the United States this week, and every time it pulls up to a station, it just blankets everybody. It is the neatest experience, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Ted, we got lucky with this weather, did we not?
We did, indeed. It is great weather, but there are thunderstorms that are possible. We could have some more of what we had yesterday with a variety of thunderstorm warnings in various parts of the valley. One was approaching the town of Sutter late last night. They've had a number of them that are expected up in northern and western parts of the Sacramento Valley, north of, say, Grimes, Colusa, and that sort of thing. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And we'll have our musical weather forecast put up online probably around 6 o'clock tonight, because I haven't had time to go do that before we had to come down and set up for what we're doing here.
Well, we gotta love April showers. It is going to be an impact weather weekend, but I think it's going to be sporadic enough that you might still be able to get outdoors and do some activities. But just like Ted said, make sure you look at the sky for those lightning and that thunder.
Okay, well, and you can see some of the clouds that are over to the north of us. We're looking north along the tracks where the train is going to come in. And now we're kind of looking back up 7th Street. Good sized crowd here. We're going to go all the way around and show you what's here. This is Stassie's 4th Ward, which has been here and was at one time, as I understand it, a railroad employee hotel. So Stassie's also has a camera that you can pick up online. If you look on Google for UP Railroad Camera Marysville, Stassie's 4th Ward, you'll probably be able to pick it up. And we're going to go now to a UP video that we pulled down. that is about how they maintain these and where they maintain these at a shop in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where the trains come out of. And we had a little glitch here. We'll be back up with our video here in just a second. Let's take a look at this. This is the train that's going to be coming in a little bit. And here's the shop that helps maintain its operation.
Again, welcome everybody. We have about so before the train arrives. Hi, welcome to the Union Pacific Steam Shop in Cheyenne, Wyoming. This is our summer 2020 Steam Shop tour. We're going to talk about all the exciting things we do here in this 100-year-old building. One of the few places that you can see actual behind-the-scenes work on a big boy, the only place you can see big boy work. When you walk into a shop like this, the first thing that impresses people is just the sheer size of it. The architecture of this old building, all the steel trusses, and just the sheer size of this. So think about what this shop was back during the steam locomotive era. This particular part of the shop is known as the Heavy Machinery Bay. As that name implies, this is where all the heavy-duty machines are. This is where everything, all the big tooling, all the big lathes, the mills, the presses, all of the big heavy-duty machines that you need to rebuild any steam locomotive, this is where it is here. We've taken a lot of these machines and we've rebuilt them, we've cleaned them up, we've fixed them up, we've made them so they can turn accurate dimensions, cut accurate tapers, cut accurate threads, and design things so they can really do what we need to do, because we do all the work here in-house. We outsource only the things that we really need to. The big heavy-duty, the tires, for example, turning a big diameter wheel, something like that. So as we walk through, you can see a vertical turret lathe, a big heavy-duty item. We recently built many bushings for the side rods on this locomotive. We also turned our piston rings and our valve rings on that. Over here, we've got a really unique 1940s turret lathe, and this was the 1940s production machine. We set this up primarily to roll threads, to roll our stay bolt threads. So we completely disassembled this machine and rebuilt it, painted it, fixed it up, bought a quick change tool post, thread roller, a turning box, all the things that we need to go into production to make the threads. So a lot of people understand what a steam locomotive is. For those that aren't that familiar with what a steam locomotive is, I'm going to talk about those component parts. We talk about stay bolts, we talk about nuts and bolts and rivets and all the different parts of a big steam locomotive. Well, locomotive fireboxes are put together with what are known as a stay bolt. As that name implies, it stays or holds the heat transfer surfaces of the inside part of that pressure vessel. Well, these particular components, they're threaded in. So they have what is known as a common lead. So the bolt threads in one sheet, goes through a water space, and threads into the other sheet. Well, we manufacture our stay bolts by rolling or forming the thread, and that gives us a really good high quality thread. When you cut anything, for example, if you were to look at that bolt under magnification, you could see some small tears as that cutting tool is physically cutting and removing the body of material that creates that thread. By rolling it, you're forming it, and that reduces that tearing effect, and therefore it reduces how that bolt could potentially fail in the years that it's in service. So it's just one of the things that the railroads did back in the days when they were involved in this type of operation. So this machine here was in with heavy use just a little over a year and a half ago when we were getting ready to get the big boy, advancing it through its 2.5-year restoration. Over here, we've got other machines that we use, band saws, custom tables for fabrication that we can set up fixtures. We're making water glasses and all the different individual pieces that we have. The multiple process as we machine each one of these components inside and out. Very intricate double lead thread. It's just a lot of multiple steps here. Those are new bronze castings. And this is something that looks a little bit out of place because these machines are modern, the modern day. If you were to go to a modern machine shop, you'd see computer-controlled machines. And that's what we have back here. So we've invested in the machining capability that allows us to do the work that we need to do to control the quality aspects of all the different components that we have on the locomotive. Both these machines were a flurry of activity back when we were in heavy production. There's a drawing on the wall of part of the engine truck centering device mechanism. We had to make some pretty critical adjustments. When we brought the locomotive back from California, those front four wheels were not tracking accurately. So through the process of rebuilding the locomotive, we took everything apart and made all the necessary adjustments and machined it according to the new drawing. Over here we have a lathe that we can mass produce all types of components. Firing valve was made here, water glass components, all the tapered fit bolts for the crosshead guides, countless other studs and nuts and bolts, just countless custom material for the locomotive is all machined here. So the machine is computer controlled, but it's manually programmed. So we write the program specific to the part that we're going to make. These machines do best when you're mass producing. That's what they're designed for, but we've also used them to make a one-off component. We have the skill and the talent that we could make these pieces manually on some of the manual machines out there, but these machines give us a really good quality and a very rapid ability to produce the items that we're making. A comparator, overhead crane, everything that we need to move heavy equipment. We've got these doors that we can open up so we can bring big heavy equipment in here. We can use the crane and position the equipment on either machine. So it's just a really versatile way to get our production. There's some gaskets here. These are for the exhaust steam injector. And back in the days of steam locomotive actual operation, these would have been laminated with an asbestos. So what we've done is we designed a program so it has created almost an embossed impression of the raised areas. And this is annealed, so this copper is softened, and as it's placed in service, those areas begin to crush, and that creates the desired gasket sealing effect that we need to make sure that exhaust steam injector works. And that's the advantage of having a computerized production machine, is that we can produce several spare parts. We've got heavy-duty bead blasters, 2 different types of grit, so we can disassemble components and we can clean them up very accurately. We've got a heavy-duty grit, and then we've got a finer grit for air brake components and valves and other things of that nature. So we're not abrading the components when we clean everything up. Well, we're in the erection bay of the big shop, and one of the things that we just recently installed just a few years ago was a new overhead lifting capacity, a big overhead crane, a 5-ton auxiliary hook and a 40-ton big hook. This enables us to move things around, to do what we need to do, pick up big giant components. We used this crane and some jacks to pick up the front engine bed when we were working on that locomotive. You can handle all this material in here, all these main rods and all the different connecting rods and all these big parts very efficiently with a very limited amount of actual effort. These components are very heavy. It just gives you a sense of the scale of the big boy locomotive and just how big these parts are. So as you can see, this is the rod scope project, and we will assemble all of these connecting rods and get everything put back together again. You see a lot of our connecting rod bushings over there. We've got 1 new wrist pin that we'll replace, and lots of new wrist pin hardware, all new hardware, new rod hardware, nuts, bolts, cotter pins, all of that, consumable items. And here we've got the 4014's tender, and we're working on some spring rigging and just doing the work that we need to do to bring the locomotive up to standard. Air brake work, heavy duty work, making all new cylinder levers, all new brake truck levers, and all the components over here. We've got some of the components that we've made, safety hangers, making the push rod rollers. For those of you that are familiar with a modern locomotive, you'll see these clevises. This is a modern day clevis that you'll see on a locomotive? Well, on the big boy locomotive, just like on the 844 when we built that a few years ago, it has similar components. The issue is they're very old, they've been well built up, and they're old and they're tired. So we renew all this, all new pins and bushings, everything that we need to do to bring the locomotive up to standard. So it's really actually quite enjoyable when you disassemble a component down to its component pieces. It's really enjoyable to take it and see it come back together again with new parts. When you think about what a locomotive does, how it operates, what it does when it's operating, rolling down the track, and all these intricate pieces, it's a lot of vibration, a lot of forces, the thrust forces of the cylinder, the piston, the inertia forces of the RPM, the reciprocating energy, that force, tremendous powerful forces. So all of this stuff needs to be assembled very, very meticulously. Having good new components and good hardware assures that we get the serviceability that we need and the safety quality that we have. We're going to walk up on the ramp here, and you can see some of the modifications that we've made to the ramp to allow us to do the work. So we've cut back some of these ramps, and that allows us to bring the overhead crane over and to access this side of the locomotive and do the work. Got big heavy drawbars here. Steam hose that we use when we steam, when we clean up. We just went through some annual inspections, so we've got all the steam hoses and using for water and for heating the water. This is the 844's tender. And this is a view that you don't get to see every day. So we're up on our elevated inspection platform and we get a really good look of the big boy, just how big the locomotive is. And the work that we have is always ongoing. There's inspections, there's servicing, there's routine servicing, there's adjustments that we're making. We're making some improvements here and there. We're also continuing just to do just the maintenance. A steam locomotive is designed as a big, massive portable power plant. But when you let a steam locomotive sit, that's when the water begins to deteriorate certain components. So how you store a locomotive is just as important as how you run it. And that's what we've done. So when we store these locomotives, we do not have any water in the boiler. We do not have water in the tender. And all of these parts, those parts that are susceptible to corrosion, are very carefully cleaned and then dried out. We actually keep heating units inside both fireboxes and the smoke box to drive out any presence of any moisture. Just the atmospheric oxygen will oxygenate any quantity of moisture and sustain that corrosion cycle. So that's what we want to do when we keep these locomotives, keep them stored for long periods when they're not being operated. We make sure that we store them carefully. Air brake components, all types of little intricate pieces of the locomotive have all kinds of little crevices and cavities that can hold water, or even another form of lubricant that's maybe deteriorating, that's maybe contaminated. So you go through and you do the annual inspections on all of those checks. We call that COTNS, Clean Oil Test and Stencil. So that's another part of the regulatory and the UP standard part of the work that we do here. So just a lot of ongoing work on the locomotives, adjusting, making better, doing what we need to do. This locomotive, you can see that now it has a little bit of weathering. We've got 9,000 miles, a little over 9,000 miles on the locomotive. And so it's showing that wear. Steam locomotive operates with fuel and water. So that water, that steam, that condensate, as it flows out of all the different parts, it carries with it all kinds of impurities from the water that was in the water that concentrates in the boiler. So that's just part of any steam locomotive operation, is managing the water treatment aspect of it, managing the power aspect of that water. And that was a big logistical challenge back during the days of steam locomotive operation, and that hasn't changed today. That continues to be a logistical element of what we have to do to maintain these.
And we are back here live at the corner of the railroad tracks, the Southern Pacific Railroad tracks in Marysville and 7th Street. waiting for the big boy, which is going to be here in just a few minutes. It's passing Benny Junction, and should be here in just a few minutes.
If you guys are just joining us, the Union Pacific Big Boy locomotives, they were built between 1941 and 1944, are the world's largest steam locomotives, measuring 133 feet long and weighing 1.2 million pounds. They're designed for heavy freight over mountainous terrain. These 4884 articulated engines could travel at 80 miles an hour. Only 8 of the 25 built have survived, and what we're about to see in just a couple of minutes coming down this track is number 4014. This was restored back into service back in 2013, and it has been doing these trips every single year as it crisscrosses across the United States. It'll be arriving here in Marysville at about 3:30. There's going to be about a 15-minute presentation with our mayor and some of our dignitaries that are joining us. We've got our Yuba-Sutter supervisors here, and it's just the churn out. As I'm looking around the crowd, we've probably got close to 5,000 people in attendance out here. I have to say, I've been to these before, and I would have to say this is probably one of the largest turnouts that I have seen to date. So everybody is really excited about seeing this. If you are watching us, once again, tell your friends to tune in, Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. If anybody's in Wheatland watching this, after it departs here at 3:45, it should be rolling through downtown Wheatland at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. It'll scoot right on there. It'll make a stop in Lincoln, and then it'll eventually be stopping in Roseville. Now, if you're looking for something exciting to do this weekend, head on out to Vermont Street. The train will be on display. I believe it's either going to be Friday or Saturday. But if you go online and look it up, it'll give you the full schedule of this historic train. Once again, we are here in historic downtown Marysville, and our train should be pulling up any minute.
That is Shane Griego. I'm Ted Langdell, Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. We are here again, and anytime soon we should be hearing the train horn in just a few minutes. It was reported crossing Benny Junction, and we're going to try to give you a look up the tracks.
And while Ted's doing that, we'll talk a little bit about this name, Big Boy. If you guys were interested to know where it came from, it is actually from its builder.
About 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Anyways, the Alpo
but it's coming.
Employees who built this
Just
train,
up here at
they
Marysville High
chalked
School
it
right
as
now.
Big Boy as on the first locomotive smoke box, which was under construction. Now you have to see this thing is going to be enormous. Massive dimensions at nearly 133 feet long. That's including tender, and over 1.2 million pounds. They are longer than the two 40-foot buses and heavier than a Boeing aircraft 747. They have a very unique design to them, what is known as a 4884. Their enormous length required an articulated hinged frame to handle the curves, featuring 2 sets of 8 driving wheels plus 4 wheels leading and trailing trucks. This is really going to be a really neat arrival here. Now, of course, the survivors, out of 25 original locomotives, 8 have been preserved in museums across the United States. The operational 4014, which you're about to see in just a couple of minutes, Union Pacific reacquired Big Boy number 4014 in 2013 and returned it to service in May of 2019 after a massive restoration and bringing it back to life. Once again, it'll be arriving here in just a few minutes. We are being told that it is rolling right in front of Marysville High School as we speak.
And coming down. Now, you're going to see flags aboard at the very front of the locomotive. Here's what they do. And We are coming back live, looking up the track as we wait for Union Pacific's Big Boy locomotive, the world's largest currently operating steam locomotive. And this is the scene behind the Caltrans building along B Street, between B Street and the track. We're going to give a camera to Shane Griego and have him walk up to the line. I should have had another tripod here. Well, anyway, we're going to give Shane our live camera, and he's going to walk up to the line itself and see if we can get a good shot down the line. People are taking selfies, as you can see. There are a number of dignitaries that were aboard the train coming down from Oroville. Now, this train is accompanied by several diesel locomotives that are of a special nature. This whole trip is intended to help celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. And here in Marysville, we're also tying it in to celebrate the 175th anniversary of the incorporation of Marysville back in February of 1851. So we're hearing another 5 minutes.
Just a few more minutes.
A few more minutes, says Dan Flores. There is a podium set up here right in the middle of 7th Street. We're positioned well to hear what's said there. And the train is coming. And there it stops. Let's see what Shane sees. There we go. That's our Shane cam. And there's our wide shot from the Shane cam. A little closer picture. Cab rides in locomotives are prized by people who are train aficionados. Try to get our cameras as high as we can so you get as good a picture of the locomotive as possible. We're going to see if Shane can get a little closer to the locomotive, maybe right up to the line. So we have some dignitaries that are going to be coming down. There is our locomotive with steam and ringing bells from and there you can see one of the locomotives that is part of this. It's one of the water tenders, but right behind it there is a red diesel locomotive, and behind that is a armor yellow painted locomotive that I believe is the one that says 1776. The red one is named for one of the presidents. That's the locomotive tab. And in just a few minutes, we will have some comments by some of the dignitaries. But most people are trying to get pictures of the locomotive front end. As you can see, they're all moving in the direction of 6th Street here along Stassie's 4th Ward, trying to get shots of the 48014 Big Boy as it leaves Marysville. There's the Shane cam. A lot of people are live streaming, and that causes us to have a little bit of difficulty sometimes trying to get cameras working at a distance. Lots of kids here, lots of adults. Quite a crowd here. We're at 7th and the former Southern Pacific Main Line here in Marysville on a day with a bit of a breeze. Earlier we saw the thermometer was registering 83. Looks like it might be up to 87, but with the wind picking up the breeze here, it's actually quite nice. Pardon me. I'm hoping Shane is going to move and get a little bit better shot. That is the Shane cam, showing the crowd still here. The train is expected to be here for about 15 minutes total, leaving at 3:30, or I mean 3:45. It's already been here for a bit. It's 3:47 Pacific time. These are the big driving wheels. There's 4 of those big driving wheels on each side, which is why they call it a 484. 4 wheels, that's 2 on each side, 2 axles in front, 8 driving wheels total, 4 per side, and then a set of 4 trailing wheels to help keep everything on the locomotive. And the way these trucks are set up for the driving ones, it's actually kind of like having 2 small locomotives attached to one large car body. That's what Shane is getting us now. And Dan Flores is back here. We're about to start the ceremonies here.
Okay. First of all, let's do a big round of applause for Union Pacific pulling in today for the big boy. All right. An exciting, historic moment for the city of Marysville. At this point, I'm going to introduce the mayor of Marysville, Mr. Chris Bransford.
The star of the show, right here. And welcome and thank you to Union Pacific and Peggy. Abraham? Abraham.
So Peggy is going to present a plaque to the city officials.
Union Pacific. Union University. The last time I greeted a train at this very location was September 8th, 1960. Train pulled by the last Gerald Kennedy. He was running for president. And this is a working second act. It really is. So happy to see you all here. Again, welcome to you all. And Peggy, are you the one that takes the microphone?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody in Marysville, for showing up for our beloved big boy. Another round of applause. We love our big boy. We have Ed Dickens here, who operates the big boy. Ed, come out in front. So this is a very special day. We're coming to Marysville at Sassy's Ward Bar. Brandon and I are going to come back for a drink one of these days. We love the town of Marysville. You guys are awesome. It's very unusual for me. This is my 32nd year with the railroad, and this is really the only town I've been in where we weren't here first. So congratulations, Marysville. You guys were here first. And I'm going to ask Ed to be my Vanna White. We are here to present Marysville, Train Town, USA. That's right. And I'm going to present the mayor a proclamation, and I'm going to read it to you, Mayor, and you can hold it up. Know all citizens by these presents, the Union Pacific Railroad was established when the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, signed the Pacific Railway Act on the first day of July, 1862. Whereas Marysville, California was established in the year of 1851. That's right. Marysville, California is located on the Union Pacific Railroad line. Be it therefore resolved, the Union Pacific Railroad recognizes Marysville, California as a place of historical significance to the railroad. Here too, Union Pacific does grant Marysville, California the title of Train Town, USA to have and to hold by means of the signing of this proclamation. In consideration of this, Union Pacific Railroad wishes to bestow congratulations upon Marysville, California, on this noteworthy milestone on this 9th day of April 2026. Signed by Jim Benna, Chief Executive Officer, Union Pacific Railroad. Woo! Here you go, Mayor.
That is so grand of you. Do I get to take that one home? These two items will be in Marysville City, permanent places of honor. This is really grand. We're joined by so many elected officials and what have you. If I went through all their names, we wouldn't have time and the train would be leaving. James Gallagher's running for Congress. I see him right here. Vice Mayor Cavoli. There's just too many. There's too many. Oh, Mr. Brad Hudson. Brad Hudson rode the train from Orville to Marysville. And by the way, this is his bar. You have something to present? Thank you all for coming. What an event. And again, the star of the show. God bless Union Pacific.
I got one of those at the bar on the outside. Let me know where I can order one out. That is Brad Hudson. Brad Hudson. When you hear yourself a fraction of a second later, it's easy to sound like you've been drinking a bit. We are here in front of Stassi's Fourth Ward, which has been a Marysville drinking establishment for quite a while. They also serve food, and we're grateful for the bar stool that we were able to obtain from them, so we could get off of our feet here after having been here since about 1:30 setting up. So that's what's happening there.
I tell you, seeing this train come in.
Let me get your mic up. Go ahead.
Seeing this train come into I tell you, it was an awesome experience. Just watching all that steam come off. And I know we did a live shot closer to the train earlier, and you could see the 4884 that I mentioned with the articulated drivetrain and the wheels that are on this. I mean, such a massive piece of equipment here. The train that you're looking at right there in front of us once again, they began a massive undertaking to restore this in 2013, and it went from 2013 to 2019 before they were finally able to get this train out on the tracks for real, as you're seeing today. So, Ted, after it leaves Marysville, this is going to be heading over into Lincoln. It'll be stopping in Lincoln, I do believe, and then it'll be hitting the depot station in Roseville. It's going to be out there, I believe, for the day, if not either tomorrow or Saturday. But you definitely want to look up the website, because in Roseville, over near Vermont Street, they are going to be doing food trucks, entertainment, but most importantly, it'll really get an opportunity for you to get up and close and take some pictures with this machine. It really is neat. Of the 25 that were built, only 8 have survived. 8 of them have been restored in museums, but the one that we're seeing right in front of us, 4014, it is the only live train that is still crisscrossing the United States. And it's history, living history. It just really is a neat opportunity to come out here. Oh man, Ted, you look around, we probably have a crowd close to 5,000 people out here.
I have no way of knowing, no way of estimating, but there are a lot of people here, that is for sure.
And you know, I've done this on multiple years, and I have to say this is probably one of the biggest turnouts that I've seen. Right here in historic Marysville, you guys saw earlier there was a presentation that was given to the mayor. What was the name of it? They call this Train USA, and I think that's what the
Train Town USA.
Train Town USA, and you know, for those of us that live here in the Yuba-Sutter area or in this portion of Northern California, I tell you, trains are a way of life. You know, you always see it. It's really, really neat. I always like it because, you know, I'll hit a train crossing on my way home from work, and we'll get one of these real long ones. You know what? It's 10 minutes just to watch the train go by, and it's actually quite relaxing. So, such a neat part of history that we were able to experience today. Not too late if you guys want to go out. Like I said, it'll be stopping at Lincoln, and then it'll go into Roseville. All right, so if you were tuning in from Wheatland, the train's probably going to be leaving out of here in about the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So more than likely, it'll pick up some speed as it comes out of Marysville, and it should be rolling right through downtown Wheatland. I would say probably no later than about maybe 20, 25 minutes from now. So if you're living in Wheatland and you are watching this live broadcast, highly recommend that you head on down right there on Main Street. Get right there by the gazebo, and you'll see this thing come blasting right through downtown Wheatland, California, on its way to Lincoln, and then for a nice layover in Roseville. Hey, Ted, will you be doing another rebroadcast of today's event by chance?
I'd probably cut something up and do something with it later this evening after I get an opportunity to get our singing weather forecast put together.
Oh, yeah.
Have
Speaking
you
of
heard
it,
those
definitely
singing
going to
weather
be an
forecasts?
impact.
They're, I'm hoping people find them engaging and informative. We would certainly like that.
Well, you know, we were really, really lucky. I think there was originally thunderstorms forecasted early in the afternoon. They've all moved to the evening hours now, so it has just been a gorgeous day out here. There has just been a constant nice breeze, so it doesn't feel like it's as hot as it is right now.
Right. And if you want to learn more about the Union Pacific Steam Locomotive Program, just go to Union Pacific or UP, I think it's unionpacific.com/steam. And there's a whole bunch of information, links to videos. We see that the locomotive engineers are climbing up into the cab again.
All right. Okay, Ted, I'm going to put my bike down because I don't want to make the mistake that I made when we did Bacchae Parade and all those fireworks went off and I didn't get a chance to cover my
It's going to be
ears.
just fine.
It's going to be a little loud. But they're going to blow this whistle here in just a couple of minutes as this will depart historic downtown Marysville, blasting right on through Wheatland, California. It'll stop in Lincoln, I do believe. And then,
stop in Lincoln, another stop similar to this in
very
Lincoln.
much so.
Before they go to Roseville, where they will be in town for a extended period into the weekend before they head over the Donner Pass route of the original Central Pacific and Southern Pacific railroads. This is the Southern Pacific's old main line that started in Roseville and goes on up through Marysville, on up to Chico, Red Bluff, Reading, and so forth. And it looks as though the train is getting ready to depart. Our locomotive engineers are waving, putting the safety chain across the access steps.
And all right, folks, get ready for that. Whistle to blow!
And that is the sound, what some people call the mournful sound of a steam whistle.
It's amazing how many songs have been made about when you hear that whistle blowing. I think Johnny Cash was one of the most famous ones right here in Folsom, California.
Marysville has been a train town. What's interesting to note is that both the Union Pacific and Southern Pacific had tracks that went up E Street north of 10th Street with stations on either side and went up and over the levee to the north. Now Western Pacific, the former Western Pacific, that's also owned by Union Pacific now, runs down the western levee of Marysville behind what used to be the Lucky Store, now Save Mart, and the gym. And we will see in just a few minutes as the locomotive departs here, the 2 diesel locomotives and the other train cars that accompany this, these are Union Pacific business cars that are rather ornate inside. If you ever have a chance to visit or ride in a private rail car, do take advantage of that. So 4014, the big boy locomotive, which was originally built to haul freight in the Midwest, in primarily between Nebraska and Wyoming, if I recall the history correctly. That's what they did. And they would use one locomotive to move a lot of freight. Now they have a lot of diesel locomotives, and you'll see some that may take 15 minutes to get through Marysville on their way down to Roseville or going northbound.
You know, Ted, you mentioned that route from going over the Donner Pass. If anybody ever has the opportunity, you can actually catch Amtrak right out of Roseville, and it'll take you into Reno. It's the best thing to do during the winter months when I-80 is usually packed in with snow. But I will tell you, it is probably the most beautiful and scenic route that you'll experience if you ever do that Roseville to Reno route. Right out of the Roseville station. It is really neat.
You can ride the California Zephyr back and forth over the Donner Summit as well.
Yeah.
So the I think the first set of whistles you heard was for the rail fans. The second set to warn everybody the train is about to move. The train locomotive also has bells ringing. We also hear bells from the lights that you see here at the crossing itself.
It's amazing.
And the
Since
train
we don't
is
have
underway.
that diesel engine on there, how quiet it is as it slowly glides away.
Moving very slowly, in part because there's quite a few people up at the intersection of 6th Street. As you can see there, this gives them the opportunity to get pictures of the train in motion. But Union Pacific really wants people to stand 25 feet back from the tracks for safety purposes, and obviously that isn't happening now. And here is the locomotive Abraham Lincoln, number 1616, which is part of the dedication to our country's 250th birthday. And then we have 1776 right here. And behind them, the armor yellow baggage cars that in part provide storage for a variety of pieces of equipment, and they may also provide head-end power. I think that's what we'll see coming up here. This is the car called the Art Lockman number 4. And right behind that, this is the Howard Fogg, and you see that it has a grill on the side, This is providing head-end power